Hello, welcome to UnderReported. I'm Melissa.
And I am Melanie.
And we are your reporters. We report crimes against Black women because they are underreported in the media.
So today's today's story is actually one you may have heard about. It was covered in the media quite a bit. It's the story of how a quick and casual run to the grocery store almost turned deadly. But because of the quick thinking and determination of the young woman in the episode, she was able to save her own life using something almost all of us have in our possession. So stick around for today's story because you may learn something that can help save your life or the life of someone you know. So a few weeks ago, Melissa was driving me home from a friend's house, Danny's house. And I was recounting to her a conversation that Greg and I had about parking.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Okay.
The conversation was basically that anytime Greg and I go anywhere.
I remember.
Anytime we go anywhere, we always have a back and forth about parking.
Yes.
And that's because Greg will take the first spot that he finds.
Okay.
I will not.
I also will not.
Yes. I will circle a parking lot until I find a close spot.
I believe that as because I am God's child, that his favor rests upon me.
100%.
Therefore, I will find a close parking space.
Yes, and
Okay.
I may tell you another reason why you do that subconsciously. And so he also always chooses parking garages. Mm-hmm. And I avoid parking garages at all costs. Mm-hmm. I will be
especially at night.
Yes, I will circle and circle and circle until I find something. So we went to a store the other day and we had this exchange and he ended up parking in a parking garage. And I was like in my feelings like, why is he going to park in the parking garage? I don't want him to. And so I started thinking, what actually, like, why do I do this? Circling a parking garage or a parking lot is not even convenient, first off, but like, why would I do that? And so as I was thinking about it, I figured out that actually I feel very vulnerable and unsafe in parking lots and especially parking garages.
Yes.
Because I am a woman.
Correct.
Greg, being a man, that doesn't even cross his mind.
Right.
He doesn't think about his safety or he typically doesn't feel vulnerable the same way that we as women do.
Yes.
And so we were having that conversation. So I ended up telling him that this is why. And so back to the beginning of what started this conversation is when I was in the car with you, I was telling you about that. What you don't know is after that conversation, I was like, I bet you there are crimes against Black women that have originated in a parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Which is how we got to today's episode.
Okay, I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. So, again, this story has been covered quite a bit. So it has been covered from BuzzFeed, Essence, Oxygen, the New York Post.
Oh, wow.
So it is one that I don't think you know.
No.
But some of our listeners may know. And if you don't, you should definitely, like I said, stick around because it's about to get good. It's the story of 21-year-old Jaila Gladden. So it's September of 2017 in Carrollton, Georgia.
Oh, this is only a few years ago.
Yes, recent.
Okay.
In Carrollton, Georgia. And so for context, Carrollton, Georgia is about 50 miles from Atlanta.
Okay.
So 21-year-old Jaila is a senior at the University of West Georgia, and she is studying to be an occupational therapist. She is in a healthy and happy relationship with her boyfriend of 2 years. His name is Tamir Bryant, and they actually live across the street from each other. And I only note that because it feels like you're probably in a really good space if you live across the street.
I was just thinking that too. I was like, they don't live together?
No, but across the street is the next best thing.
Yeah.
So they're living across the street from each other. It's Labor Day, so it's September 4th of 2017, and Jaila and Tamir are hanging out at his house. It gets late in the evening, somewhere around 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and Jaila says she's not feeling well.
Okay.
So she feels like it's the onset of a cold. So she decides, I'm going to run to the Kroger up the street and grab some medicine.
Okay.
And so, you know, when you start feeling sick, you trying to get in front of it, tackle it as quickly as possible. So she goes up to the Carrollton Kroger. So it's not too far from her house or her boyfriend's house for that matter. And she parks pretty close to the front of the Kroger.
Okay. I assume it's in the evening time too.
Well, it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Okay. Did you say that? I missed it.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So it's in the evening.
I'm following.
Pretty late.
Okay.
And she fully intends to run in, grab her medicine, run back out. So she does run in. She, again, has parked pretty close to the front of the store.
Mm-hmm.
She runs in. She grabs her medicine. And she's coming out, has her bag in her hand. And so on the way out, there is a red box. Or not a red box.
Yeah.
Yes.
The movies things.
Yes.
From back in the day for all y'all don't remember.
Yes. So there's a red box near the front of the Kroger. And so as she's walking out, she passes by this red box and there's a guy standing there. And he says, "Do you have a lighter?" And she says, "Nope." And keeps walking to her car, which again, not too far from the front of the store. What she doesn't know is after she said no, he follows her.
I knew it.
He follows her.
I knew it.
He follows her to her car. And before she knows it, he's standing right behind her.
Oh my
with
gosh.
a knife to her back. And
Oh,
tells
no.
her to get in the car.
Oh my gosh.
Jayla gets in the car, and the guy also gets in the car. So he tells her to climb over to the passenger side of her car, and then he gets in the driver's seat, and he drives away from the Kroger.
Oh wow.
He ends up taking her to another parking lot, and so they go to the back of this parking lot, and what she realizes is that it's the parking lot of a church.
Okay.
And so he parks in the, like I said, the back corner of the lot, and he tells her to take her clothes off. So she's pleading with him, "Please let me go. Please don't do this. Please, you don't have to do this. Let me go." To which
she's terrified.
soullessly says to her, "There's no use in crying.
Oh,
It's not gonna help you."
My gosh.
And so at that moment, he proceeds to sexually assault her.
Oh no.
So once he's done, they get out of the car, which is at his command. They get out of this car, and they walk towards kind of you know how at churches they have like children's church, and so sometimes they have those kind of kiddie playgrounds.
Yes.
So they walk towards this kind of kiddie playground area, and over there are like two-tiered benches, right?
Okay.
Two-tiered, one higher, one lower. So she sits on the lower bench, he sits on the higher one. And while they're out there, he starts to tell her that his best bet at this point is to kill her because
Obviously. Yeah.
she's seen his face. He's in too deep. And so his best bet is to kill her, get rid of her body. And her being alive is really no benefit to him.
Absolutely.
And
She's damaged or potentially a witness. He's
100%,
trained.
yes.
Not even potentially. She is a witness
She's a
alive.
witness, yes. So it's at this point that Jayla decides she has to fight for her life.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
this is going to end
Absolutely.
with her losing her life. Continue to sit outside for a little while, and he starts to tell her a little bit about himself. He starts to tell her that
This ain't no friendship, sir.
he's recently gotten out of jail, and he wants to get back to Michigan. He has some roots back in Michigan, so that's his ultimate goal. So his plan that he comes up with is we are going to have to drive to Michigan. You and I are going to have to make the trek from Atlanta or Carrollton to Michigan. But first, he has to rob a gas station because he don't have no money. So they get in the car, and at this point, he's kind of driving. He starts driving towards Atlanta, but really driving kind of aimlessly because he doesn't know how to get to Michigan. He's just kind of driving. And before he gets to Michigan, he has to find a gas station. So when they're in the car, he's talking about he has to find this gas station. Jayla, with her smart thinking, says, "I can help you find a gas station."
I need my phone.
I need my phone. Give me my phone, and I can look up a gas station. And so he agrees.
Dummy.
He gives her his phone.
I was literally just thinking, why doesn't he use a phone? It's 2017. You have GPS, because this was a crime of opportunity. He wasn't thinking.
He's also recently
released from jail. He didn't even got a phone. Listen, come on, Jayla. Do what you do.
So she takes the phone. She dims the light on the phone.
Oh, smart.
And instead of looking up gas stations, she shares her location with her boyfriend, Tamir, who's at home, who at this point has dozed off because she was just supposed to run to get to Kroger.
Now she's been gone for hours,
and
probably.
now she's gone for hours. So he wakes up and at this point, he has a certain tone set for her.
Oh.
So it's 2:00-ish in the morning at this point.
Oh, wow.
And he
10,
wakes
11, 12,
up
1, 2. She's been gone for 4 hours.
4 hours. So he wakes up to this ringtone of a message from Jaila. Because when you share your location, it comes in as a text message.
Sure does.
So he wakes up. He looks at his phone and he's confused because the location says she's driving away from Carrollton and towards Atlanta at 2:00 in the morning.
Girl, where you going? What's going on? What's happening?
And so we have the text messages. So this is Tamir after he receives her location.
Okay.
Where you at? Why are you there?
Kidnapped.
Stop playing right now. I'm headed to the police station.
On God. Or she said in God, but she's saying on God.
Yes, ma'am. You're in Atlanta, baby. Oh my God. Did you give the location to anyone else? Then the text messages stop for a sec. And he drives to the police station.
Immediately. Good on him.
Immediately. And he's noted as saying in multiple interviews that it's about 5 minutes away. He got there in 2.
You better drive, sir.
So he gets to the police station and he shows the messages and gives all of the information to the police. At this point, she is in Atlanta. She is 50 miles away in Atlanta. And so what's happening in the car with Jaila and the guy is that he arrived at a gas station.
Oh, she actually did give him instruction for the gas
station. She really did look for a gas station.
Oh, good for her.
Well.
Mm-hmm.
And so he takes her phone and he puts her in the trunk of the car.
Oh.
Which is why the text message just stopped.
Got it.
He attempts to rob the gas station, but he was unsuccessful. So he comes back out, takes her out of the trunk, and says he wants to rob a Walmart or a Kroger. To which Jaila says,
that's
sure.
not a good idea, though.
No. She says, sure.
Go to a Walmart. Of course, that's a great idea.
Give me my phone again.
Yes.
I'll help you find
the
one.
Walmart. This dummy thinks they're in cahoots together.
She gets her phone back and texts her boyfriend again. Mm-hmm. And this, again, is what the text messages say. So you'll read her. Okay. I'll read him.
Okay. Knife. Scare.
Type of car. Police have told him to ask what type of car is she in.
Mine. I'm scared. Don't call 911.
I'm with them now. What do you want me to do? Telling parents now.
I don't want him to kill. Oh, poor thing. I don't want him to kill me. If he sees lights, he's going to do it.
Who is he?
I don't know. Got me outside of Kroger.
What's he wearing? Anything that stands out about him?
No, he's going to rob Kroger. There you go, girl. Might put me in the trunk. Is going to Michigan. He said he doesn't now how I'm getting back. He doesn't know how I'm getting back. Don't let me die.
We've got help coming.
Oh my gosh. This, I can only imagine. I can only imagine her emotion texting this.
Yeah.
And then the emotion of her boyfriend receiving this information.
Yes.
The panic, the pure terror, typing, I don't want to die, and recognizing this could be this is an imminent threat.
Yes.
In this moment. That's very real. Oh my goodness.
Yes. 100%. So Jaila again is texting, but she's also finding
a Walmart or
Kroger. So she guides him to the Kroger that she finds. He parks across the street in a parking lot of an apartment complex that's across the street from the Kroger. And again, he puts her in the trunk. So the text messages stop. He comes back again unsuccessful because he says there was a security guard out at the front. And so he says, we should just lay low here in the parking lot until the morning. Security guard will be gone.
Got it.
I can rob it. I can get my money. What he doesn't know, of course, is that Jayla's been in contact with her boyfriend, who's been with the police
the whole time.
And Carrollton police have now been in contact with Atlanta police. So at this point, APD is out.
Yes.
And they have their location.
Right.
So they're not just aimlessly out.
They're targeted. They're going exactly. And now they're stationary.
So Atlanta police is in the parking lot that they are in. A police officer who is canvassing the area or the parking lot sees the car. He recognizes that's the one. And so he, of course, doesn't have his lights on because per her request, he's going to kill me, turn everything off. But he sees a car that's sitting idle, but it's running and the lights are off. and again matches the description, so he knows it's them. He gets out of the car, and there is more than one police officer. They get out of the car, and before they could even approach or do whatever they're going to do, the driver recognizes
that's the police.
That's the police. So he speeds towards the exit of the parking lot. He collides with like 4 cars, and he hits their parked car because he's trying to get out of there. The officers draw their weapons and instruct the driver to stop. Of course, he ignores them, and eventually he hits a fence because he's driving so recklessly, trying to get away. When he hits the fence, he and Jaila jump out of the car. Jaila runs towards the police. He, of course, runs away. And so once she gets out and she makes it to the police, she tells them that he got out and he's running on foot. And she also FaceTimes her boyfriend, and he is quoted as saying in, again, many interviews that he could see the lights in the back of her. And so he knew she was safe. Yes. And so she's running and she's crying and she's just happy to be safe. So Carrollton investigators had used the video of the abduction, which we have, and I have to show you. And that's him. Oh my gosh, look walking. At his pace. So she's at her car, and before she knows it, he's there.
Wow. What is really interesting about this is
What's kind of crazy is that looks like that's somebody.
Yeah, it's absolutely somebody. It's a cart they're pushing. 2 people actually. Whenever I'm parked, especially at night, I am unlocking my key before taking my key out, making sure that it's fully ready. I never want to be fumbling with my key at my car in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And add on if you have bags in your hand.
Oh, girl.
Add on if you have a child with you. Add on so many other factors.
Absolutely.
Your mind is somewhere else.
Yep.
Anything. And immediately you're
vulnerable. It should be a lesson to all, especially if you're a woman out there listening, to just always be prepared. Like when you're at I just open the door. That's all I want to do. I don't want to. Where's my key? Where'd I go? Nah, I don't play them games. No, you're way too vulnerable.
Have it ready. So they look at the footage that I just showed you of the abduction, and the description provided by the officers who he had hit and ran and all of that. And so they start doing some research and looking at people in the area. And so they develop a suspect by the name of Timothy Wilson. And so that's who they believe that they are looking for, who is the perpetrator in this incident. So about 10 hours after fleeing from after the fence incident, those investigators, they had come to Atlanta to look for him, to help look for him. And so they are in the city, and they see a man sitting on a park bench near Ponce de Leon Avenue. And if you're from Atlanta, you know that area. And they see a man sitting on a park bench who fits Wilson's description. He was shirtless and he had an obvious cut on his hand.
Oh, yeah.
So the officers approached him and took him into custody. Turns out that they were right. It really was Timothy Wilson, who was sitting on the bench, but also who was the perpetrator. He was 28 years old. He was in and out of jail. So I'll tell you just a little bit of information about him. He was in and out of jail since he was 13 years old. And 3 months before he attacked Jaila, so back in June, he was released from Rutledge Correctional Facility, which is in Columbus, Georgia. And he was in jail for theft by taking. So it wasn't even like kidnapping or sexually assault related, anything like that. And so he had gotten out in June, and he lived about 1 mile away from the Kroger.
Wow.
So this was not far from him. And what's kind of crazy is that I guess maybe after looking at the footage from the Kroger of the day, they realized he had been waiting outside of that Kroger for pretty much all day, waiting for his victim. It just happened to be Jaila.
Wow.
That night. So
how sinister are you that you've made up in your mind that this is what I'm going to be doing today. And I'm just going to prey on women today.
Doesn't even matter who it is.
Wow, how sad.
Yeah. So he was, like I said, captured and was sentenced to life in prison for the crimes against Jaila. And while that was a traumatic incident, Jaila went on, like I said, this has been covered by so many people and so many platforms. So she went on to tell her story a lot. And it was really in hopes of sharing that people should share their location.
Absolutely. I have a family member that's out here that's not you, and she went out on a date with someone, and I immediately said, I need you to share your location, period. It's like a non-negotiable for me. We did it even when you were out here and you were pregnant.
Yes.
With Kenny, and Greg wasn't here yet.
Yes.
And I was like, you should share your location.
Yes. And actually, when I first learned about sharing your location, actually, it was when I first heard this story, I told Greg, and I said, I'm sharing my location with you indefinitely.
Yeah, for sure.
You will always have it.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, what better way to end this story than to walking people through how to share their location, at least on an iPhone. It is possible to do on an Android. You should look it up. We are going to just walk through how to do it on a iPhone. So to share your location, you can go to, I'm going to read it here, even though I do know how to. If you have an open message with somebody,
you can do it there.
You can go to it, and when you hit the information or the little I button, the first thing that pops up, it has like call video. Underneath that, it says send my current location or share my location. And once you hit share my location, the options come for share for 1 hour, share until end of day, and share indefinitely. And so you can share indefinitely for anyone you want to have it indefinitely. So all of that to say, share your location. It could literally save your life. It saved hers.
Wow.
So it's a story that ends very differently than some of the ones I think we'll cover on UnderReported. But it's a good one.
It's a good one.
With
a lesson. Share your location, boyfriend, friend, mother, daddy, sister, brothers. Share your location with someone. It's most certainly important that people know. It is important that people know where you are. In the unfortunate event of something like this happens to Jaila. Do it for Jaila.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this story. I hope that you learned something. Please make sure that you share your location. Let that be the mantra. Let that be the lesson of today's story. I'm so happy to hear that Jaila is at least safe.
Yeah.
And even though I'm sure those emotional scars that will exist from being the victim now of sexual abuse and sexual violence, she will have to carry that with her. So I hope that she's able to get, the mental health and all of that she needs. But we do appreciate the lesson that we're all able to take from her story. Until the next video, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And share the podcast. Bye.